against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom. Recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the witnesses here. I'm going to pose this first question to all three of you, but maybe give you some background on where I'm coming from. So, I'm probably one of the few members of the committee that actually owns cryptocurrency. I've been fascinated by it for a long time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live, the most watched daily Bitcoin live show on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. The cold opening, that was JD Vance. He was just nominated to be the vice president of the United States with Donald Trump. Hell of a ticket, and you heard it. You heard him say it. He's a huge fan of Bitcoin. He actually owns a lot of Bitcoin. I think according to public records, he owns $250,000 worth of Bitcoin. So this current administration, of course, we know what the orange man thinks of Bitcoin. I feel like it's beating a dead horse at this point. We're not going to play you those videos. But breaking news, also the vice president is a huge proponent of the industry. He comes from the Peter Thiel school. He's big in the kind of let's say well respected in the VC community. And of course, he's extremely pro Bitcoin, and that's really, really good news for our industry in terms of it allowing to flourish from a regulatory standpoint. Just remember, Bitcoin, doesn't need government approval, doesn't need regulations. It will survive. Bitcoin's the honey badger. You can't stamp it out. Its incentives are unstoppable. But, if you're a Bitcoin entrepreneur, if you're trying to develop a Bitcoin business in the US, you obviously want a positive regulatory environment. And now Trump's vice president pick is not only a Bitcoin supporter, but also a Bitcoin owner. That's absolutely massive. Also, the Chad Saylor, who's going to be making an appearance at the Bitcoin conference next week, he dropped a chart which was quite interesting. He put MicroStrategy's performance and he put the NVIDIA stock performance. Now, what's really interesting about NVIDIA is it's been one of the best performing stocks ever. Why? Because of the AI boom, right? The AI, all that AI uses the NVIDIA GPUs to process all that data. And of course, their stock went through the moon as this AI boom is going to the moon as well. Now, what's really interesting is that MicroStrategy still outperformed NVIDIA, and MicroStrategy it's not a GPU manufacturer, right? They don't make anything. It's a software company. They do offer a service. They do have a product, but compared to NVIDIA, if you ask someone, on the street, have you heard of NVIDIA versus have you heard of MicroStrategy? Most people, especially if they're a PC gamer, if they know anything about computers, they're of course I know what NVIDIA is. They make the GPUs, right? If you ask them about MicroStrategy, you probably wouldn't know who they are. And of course, now it's different with Micheal Saylor stepping into the fold and, being the Chad Saylor and evangelizing Bitcoin all over the world, right? It's a little bit different now. But the point that Saylor was trying to make is, could you imagine if NVIDIA, as well as it has performed, right? And I'm sure they have a tremendous amount of cash that they're just sitting on. Could you imagine if they adopted a Bitcoin strategy too, how much better their stock would perform? It would perform 10 times better, or I don't even know. I can't even put a magnitude on it, right? So I think that's the next step. I think Saylor's signaling something there. I think he's it's like that meme of the guy poking and he's why won't you do something? And then it's just all of a sudden that God candle that metaphorically takes his head off. It's Saylor, I think, is poking around to these companies and basically saying look guys, you might make the best GPU in the world, right? That everyone's trying to buy because everyone's into AI, but I adopted a Bitcoin strategy and I'm still outperforming you. He's making his message heard, right? So I think that's really the next step. I think you hear the rumblings from Michael Dell. He's been continuously interacting with the Bitcoin community. Could it be Dell Technologies that follows? Is it Michael Dell that's going to invest individually? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yes, great. Michael Dell invests into Bitcoin individually. That's great news. But I would be much more excited if, Dell Technologies was like, yeah, you know what, we're putting Bitcoin on our balance sheet, because then I think that would really start the domino effect. And the domino effect is simple. Any company that adopts a Bitcoin strategy has a competitive advantage versus the companies that don't adopt a Bitcoin strategy. By the way, this applies to everything. This applies to individuals. This applies to nation states. So really exciting stuff. I think we're on the cusp. I think it's taken a long time. A lot of cold feet. Of course, you have MetaPlanet. You have a company in Japan. You have Tesla, believe it or not. That they have a good amount of Bitcoin that they're holding on their balance sheet. I know they sold some, but still, shout out to Elon. Tesla still has, I think it's like 8,000 or 9,000 Bitcoin. So, what is the next Fortune 500 company to follow in the footsteps of Micheal Saylor? Micheal Saylor is instigating them. He's trying them. He's saying, look, my stock is outperforming you guys. You guys might make the best iPhone in the world, but we're just buying a crap ton of Bitcoin. So I think it's just a matter of time. And when that happens, I mean, you're going to be lucky that you got some under $100,000, right? So, these are crazy times, good times for Bitcoin on the political sphere, and also on the number go up sphere as well. Anyways, it's going to be a great show. We got so much content for you guys. I want to bring co-host and rest for today, of course, our boy Anders. Anders throws the best parties in the industry. And we're honored to have him on the show today. And the Pleb party's coming up, boy. It's coming up next week on Thursday, July 25th. The Pleb party's happening, and there might be some all-star appearances that we're gonna talk about today that might be showing up. So really, really excited for that. Anders, how you doing, bro? Dude, I feel like it's come such a long way. The Miami party was an absolute success, and the one in Nashville seems to be, it seems like, I don't know how you could one up the Miami one, but it seems like you're gonna be one-upping the Miami party, which is crazy.
Thank you, Nico, and good to be here with you guys. And right now, I'm having the exact same feeling as I had yesterday on those G Money show. I don't know if you know he's got a free speech show on. Yeah. And as I was sitting there talking with him, I'm like, bro, we got to get together and get a beer and have a good time. We need to go out soon. And I'm realizing, well, just next Thursday we're hanging out at the Pleb party in Nashville, and it's the same with you guys. I'm looking forward. You guys are gonna be there, and very happy about it. What does excite me about the rooftop in Miami? Obviously, it's hard to beat a rooftop in Miami, and a Bitcoin meme Pleb video lasting for 1 hour, going on repeat. But I do absolutely love this venue. It's super cool. It has 4 different bars, not the one in Miami. I don't like people have to wait in line to get a bar, especially when alcohol is included. I have a super cool branded drinks menu from Swan, who is my sponsor. Bunch of cool drinks, all named something Bitcoin, right? There's Swan and Chill, Bright Orange Future, all these, cool Bitcoin names on drinks. But the venue is super, super dope. It's giant. In Miami, I had to turn people away because of fire regulations, and it just really hurt me. So here we do have ample space, but obviously price of tickets go up as they sell out. And right now, I think it's 11 tickets at $215 for 12 hours of open bar and food. And I can see now.
I'm going to interrupt you there for a sec. Anders, for anyone who doesn't know what that means that the food and the drinks are included in the ticket. Is that correct?
Yes. It doesn't mean that the bar is open for service and you have to pay. It means it's free bar. Like the alcohol, the soft drink, whatever is included as much as you wish to consume. Be responsible on a 12 hours. Not everyone can party for 12 hours. I mean, you know, it's Viking style, I gotta say. Like, that's what we do here, and I'm not gonna diss Americans in general when it comes to that. You guys can do great receptions, but go ahead, come over and have fun for 12 hours, as much as you can drink and eat. It's included. Yeah.
I'm an old man at this point. I think I put my body through the ringer growing up in Miami in my late teens and early 20s and mid 20s. I don't know if I could do that anymore, but Opti could hang in there for 12 hours. I know he can.
Anders knows.
I
He
know.
could hold it down for 12 hours, you know.
No, 12 hours is still long. 12 hours is a long time.
It is.
Also,
It
I want to
is.
give a shout out to Mauricio for sending me the lens swag. I appreciate it, brother. Love Mauricio. Love what they're doing over there. Anyways, guys, it's gonna be a great show. Can't wait to talk about the Pleb party. Micheal Saylor's next, like what I think he's doing, and of course, JD Vance, right? And look, guys, I'll be blunt with you. According to the election odds, and the fact that this guy survived an assassination attempt by an inch, it seems like Trump has a 70% a chance of winning according to the Vegas betting odds. The betting odds are much more accurate than the polls, just because people are putting money at stake, right? So of course that could change. There's many months towards the election, right? You never know what could happen. But it seems like right now there's a good shot that we'll have a pro-Bitcoin president in the White House and a Bitcoin owner as vice president, which is absolutely nuts. This timeline is crazy. But we're
doing
here
those
to
numbers,
cover.
Nico. I don't know when that video was played, but the vice president might own 6.15 Bitcoin, which is kind of hilarious.
That is absolutely hilarious. American HODL, absolute legend. Anyways, guys, I do want to give a shout out to our lead sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. And of course, I'm talking about bitcoinwell.com. To get started, all you got to do is you put in your email address, enable your independence with the fastest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. Buy real Bitcoin at bitcoinwell.com. Guys, it's a self-custody by default platform. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, unless you intend to take self-custody, they won't let you do it. You literally have to put your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. As soon as your funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state. By the way, if you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you can use those Bitcoin Well points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well. The Bitcoin Wishing Well is this contest where you literally flick a coin into the Bitcoin Wishing Well and you can win up to 1 million Satoshis. So we'll do an example of that for you guys today. Get your Lightning wallets up and ready to scan the QR code. Opti, you can't do it. And first person to scan the QR code has won 500 sats. If you use the promo code simplybtc to sign up, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Wishing Well for an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. Guys, support self-custody by default Bitcoin on-ramps like bitcoinwell.com. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed.
I made it incredibly easy for you guys to maintain. Look at that. Look at Opti's special edition Stamp Seed. Absolutely beautiful. Guys, if you want to maintain the relationship with your grandchildren, you want to stamp your seed phrase on titanium. You don't want to write down your seed phrase on paper. You don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation where you were buying Bitcoin under $100,000 and your grandchildren, they're like, oh, grandpapa, you're going to give us the generational wealth. It's like, no, I lost it in a fire. My dog ate my seed phrase. Like, that's a terrible conversation. So don't do that. Stamp your generational wealth on titanium. Use promo code SIMPLY at stampseed.com for 15% off. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 64,480. Sats per dollar, 1,551. Block height, 852,475. Blocks to halving, 197,525. Halving estimate, March 28, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity, 5,065 BTC. Capacity value, 326 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.52%. Market capitalization, 1.27 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 7.65%. In the grand scheme of things, we are just getting started. Anyways, I do want to talk about this man. This man was just nominated for vice president of the, the Republican vice president nominee. The election is happening in November, but like I said, according to the betting odds and the fact that Trump survived an assassination and lawfare and all of that stuff, it seems like Trump has a really, really good chance of winning the presidency, which means that this man will be vice president coming 2025. And of course, 2025 is the year of the bull, which is crazy. Now let's take a look at who JD Vance is from a Bitcoin perspective. Again, we're a Bitcoin show. I don't really care about all the other fiat politics. You guys know the deal, how we stand here. Anyways, so this is Ryan Adams. He's a bit of a shitcoiner, but I think this is good information. And he says, JD Vance is Trump's VP pick and the likely next vice president. He strongly supports crypto. He voted for the SAB 121 repeal. He's a holder and owned $250,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2022, likely more now. He slammed Gensler in open letters. I'll play a video for you guys in a second regarding that. Further evidence that Trump White House is pro crypto. That is really, really good news. Here's Jameson Lopp. And here it is an example of because of course he's a member of Congress, so he has to disclose what his holdings are. And here it is. He owns about $250,000, $100,000 to $250,000 worth of Bitcoin, right? Not any other, altcoin. And apparently he bought it on Coinbase. Now, is he taking self-custody? I don't know. I don't think so. Just like self-custody, man. Like it's like you should do it. I 100% believe that it's like not your keys, not your cheese. But like the fact is, it's like it's not easy. And it's just like, if you don't care, if you're not incented, like if you just don't care enough, like you're just like, yeah, I'm going to leave it on Coinbase. It's safe. It's my Bitcoin. No, it's not your Bitcoin. So I don't know if he's taking self-custody. I don't think the world has completely, I don't think the world has completely, come to realize the benefits of taking sovereign ownership of your wealth. But I think they will. And some people will learn harder than others by getting completely rug pulled by the exchanges. Anyways, so moving on, he's said some really, really base stuff in the past. Like, for example, during the Canadian truckers protest, here's Christy Friedland. She is the, excuse my language, absolute psychopath that just went on live TV and basically said, we're going to freeze everyone's accounts because of their political beliefs. And here's JD Vance responding to her. She says, this is when they froze the Canadian truckers accounts and stuff. And JD Vance responded, this is why crypto is taking off. The regime will cut off your access to banking if you have the wrong politics. I mean, this sounds like something Opti would say, right? The regime will cut off your access to banking if you have the wrong politics. Like, this is the guy who's going to be vice president. Now, there's a reason also as to why he was picked versus a lot of the kind of establishment uniparty Republicans, was because I think when Trump was very close to assassination, he realized that he wants his legacy, his political legacy, to last. And he felt like JD Vance was the guy that was going to propel that forward. Anyways, here's a video of Senator Vance and future or potential future Vice President Vance absolutely shitting on Gary Gensler. Just check it out.
If there's a candidate for worst person, in my view, at least in terms of my substantive disagreements, I'm sure he's like a nice guy, is Gary Gensler. Okay, so Gary Gensler is sort of the complete opposite of my view. And there are two problems that I have with Gary. One of which is that I think he wants to inject politics way too much into the actual business of securities in the United States of America. But in some ways, the more fundamental issue, or at least the most relevant issue for this particular conference is the approach that Gary has taken to regulating blockchain and crypto seems to be almost the exact opposite of what it should be. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but the question the SEC seems to ask in regulating crypto is this a token with utility? And if it's a token with utility, then they seem to want to ban it. And if it's a token without utility, they don't seem to care. I almost think we should be the opposite here, right? I worry about financialization. I worry about, frankly, whether a lot of the crypto stuff is fundamentally fake. But if a token actually has utility, that's the sort of thing that, by all means, regulate it. By all means, be careful about, how consumers interact with it. But you don't want to just get rid of this stuff. And here's where I really, really worry about this is a lot of the newest challengers to the social media incumbents of 2024 are going to require some blockchain technology to make their business work. Maybe they'll require a token that supports verification. There are all of these ways in which the companies, when I talk to sort of friends who are still in the VC industry, the companies that are most exciting to them, they're doing actual things in communications in the 21st century, in 2024, I should say, those companies very often rely on high utility tokens to do things like verification. Well, if we're not making it possible to do verification, then we're going to make it really hard to challenge the existing incumbents in the space.
Okay, so all that being said, let's talk a little bit about this. So a lot of the stance that Bitcoiners took, including Micheal Saylor, was that everything other than Bitcoin was a security. Then the Democrats, to kind of they realized that their anti-Bitcoin stance wasn't exactly very popular. So they said, okay, you know what? We're going to approve this Ethereum ETF. Then JD Vance was referencing how, Gary Gensler has made this political. And that's the case that Simply Bitcoin has been making for over a year now. It's like, this is extremely political how they're treating the entire industry. Now, something that Bitcoiners are going to have to come to terms with, which is, in a way, it's kind of weird, right? It's like we're libertarians and we like capitalism and we like the free market. But when it comes to Bitcoin and when it comes to shitcoins, we want the government to give Bitcoin special treatment versus the shitcoins. Like, you can't have one and the other, right? So what has become abundantly clear is that the entire industry is going to be under the Trump Vance administration is going to be, it's going to be, let's say, left alone to its own devices, right? Less regulation, less intervention, less politics. But what that also means is that Bitcoin is going to have to compete with all the other altcoins on the free and open market and let the best money win. And this is how it should be, right? You shouldn't be rooting for crony capitalism where the government is picking which quote unquote crypto is going to win and which crypto is not going to win. Yes, we could talk about the Howey test. We could talk about how Ethereum had a pre-mine. We could talk about how XRP had a pre-mine. We could talk about the fact that they're really tech companies. They're not really it's not really a cryptocurrency. Vitalik, has openly called out for walking back the chain. They could change the rules of the monetary policy, at the flick of a switch. You could talk about all of that stuff. But this is exactly why Bitcoin is going to win on the free and open market, right? We don't really need the government to pick who the winners and losers are. Now, I would say as a whole, I would rather live in a regulatory environment where the entire industry is just kind of left alone to its own devices versus an environment which is where we're currently in, where the current administration has been incredibly hostile towards us. The mining ban, the proposed 30% tax on Bitcoin miners to essentially destroy the industry, Operation Choke Point 2.0, denying Caitlin Long's crypto bank a federal banking charter, Like the list goes on. Elizabeth Warren, like literally going to legacy media and convincing them that Hamas was using Bitcoin to launder money, when in reality, the vast majority of the money was being laundered through the traditional financial system. Like it just goes on and on and on and on and on. How they tried to link Binance to terrorism, right? How they're basically, the FBI came out with a post trying to scare the shit out of everybody not to take self-custody. How they've gone after Bitcoin privacy developers. How they went after the Tornado Cash developers. Like I literally, the list goes on of how many things these people have done, which is why it created an opportunity for Trump to step in and RFK to step in and say, hey, if you vote for me, you know, I'll keep Elizabeth, his words, not mine, Elizabeth Warren's goons away from the industry, right? So like, you know, like it's like, dude, they created this whole mess in the first place. Look, and this is my last point. I'd rather live in a world where Bitcoin has to compete with shitcoins on the open market and the government is not intervening, versus a world where the government is completely intervening and going after everybody in the industry. And again, I think it's a little bit hypocritical from Bitcoiners to say, hey, you know what? Please, Mr. Big Government, of which we don't like, pick Bitcoin, give Bitcoin special privileges, and all these other shit coins, no, they don't deserve special privileges. That's crony capitalism, right? It's like that's supposed to be what we're fighting against. Bitcoin will win based on its own incentives. That's what we believe here at Simply Bitcoin. You're free to do whatever you want. If you want to buy, you know, whatever, you know, can't even name me an altcoin. They're all trending.
Pump Rocket.
Pump Rocket. Is that a thing?
Yeah, was that
okay? So if you want to buy Pump Rocket, like go for it, dude. Like go for it. That's totally up to you. Obviously, we advocate for Bitcoin. You know, you stay humble, you stack sats, your life will improve. If you want to degen a little bit on shitcoins, that's up to you. Obviously, we advise you not to here at Simply. Anyways, stay humble, stack sats. Opti, what's your take on this? This is pretty base vice president, dude. There's been some clips. I didn't play them on today's show, but there's been some clips of some of his political ads where, dude, he's an absolute savage. Like the guy's absolutely hilarious. And he, you know that movie, Bill something Elegy or something.
Hillbilly Elegy.
You know that's based on his life, right?
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I heard.
So yeah, so apparently this guy's super based. He owns Bitcoin. All good things. Anyways, what's your take, Opti, and move on to Anders?
Yeah, so my take, you know, I do agree with a lot of what you said. I am a bit conflicted on this choice of JD Vance, and I don't know the ins and outs of the decision, guys. Again, I'm like probably the most apolitical person on Simply Bitcoin here. But on the one hand, he's a Bitcoiner. He seems to understand that it's Bitcoin only. Yes, it's still probably on Coinbase, so we got to work on that. And on the other hand, he's Peter Thiel's prodigy, and that's PayPal Mafia and a literal intelligence spook. So I'm a tad iffy on this one. Just, you know, kind of going through the game theory of where this is going. On the one hand, again, like it feels great. He is saying some funny stuff on Twitter. I've seen some really funny takes and some snapshots coming out of articles about him and his I don't know what you'd call it, like his inner group of people that work with him, which I find really like. He sounds like an anon on Twitter. And then there's some other stuff I've seen. I can't really say it on YouTube, but he was a proponent of you know, sticking things in your arms and telling people they should get canceled as well. So I'm a bit conflicted, though. I think, you know, it's been a couple of years, and I do hold the option for people to change their mind. So on that note, you know, like, I don't know the real ins and outs of what's going on. It does probably seem like a good pick, and hopefully it is a good look for the Bitcoin industry at large. Again, we do got to work on it because it probably seems like he's leaving his coins on Coinbase. So we got to get it to self-custody. So there's 100%. Some work to do with the vice president, but it would be kind of funny if he did own 6.15 Bitcoin. Like, it's our meme world and everyone else is just living in it. But I do agree with his takes on Gary Gensler. You know, GG has used the SEC to politicize the Bitcoin space. We've been covering that on the show for I don't even know how long now, years at this point. And it's becoming very obvious. And, you know, Nico says it all the time, like, we tried to stay out of politics as much as possible until politics landed on our front door, and now I don't think we have the
until they
luxury.
started locking us in boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
We
And now-
literally tried to take the most neutral, like center line, whatever, and then they like, dude, like, and then it was just like, okay, you guys are fucking with our industry. You guys are, you know, putting us in boxes. You guys are jailing us. You guys are going after us. Like it didn't give us an option but to kind of get involved. And by the way, I gotta say, like the Democrats created that opportunity for the Republicans to capitalize on because of their stance on Bitcoin. Anyways, I do want to play this video before I pass it on to Anders because I think it's hilarious. Opti, try not to laugh.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
Yeah, I'm starting to like this guy. Oh man. Yeah. So anyways, like I was saying, you know, we've seen Gary Gensler take a political stance on Bitcoin, and like totally agree with what Nico was saying. Though on the last part of that bit, like I'm not exactly sure what he was saying about regulations, but if I think he's saying less regulations, then I totally agree with that. So, you know, there's Bitcoin and then there's everything else. And it seems though like the presidential Republican ticket right now is angling really strong to embrace the Bitcoin community.
Let's be real. To embrace the crypto industry.
Whatever, dude. They're vying for votes. They're politicians. I get it. But you know, what's good for Bitcoin is good for everything else. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. And again, like let Bitcoin win on the free and open market. We're not going to get special treatment, and I don't think we should be rooting for special treatment. I think that's the most anti-Bitcoin-esque thing to say. Anyways, Anders, what are your thoughts on all this, brother?
A lot of thoughts. First of all, Nico, I remember like early days coming on Simply. I was not supposed to say anything political, but it's so hard for me to keep my mouth shut. And I'm liking to see you guys like, you know, grow up and speak up for what's important. But
dude, they almost shot our guy, bro. Like, come on now.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. No, but I get it. You don't want to rule. You want to educate everyone across, like everyone in US about Bitcoin, and that means you don't want to push anyone away. Now it makes more sense. Obviously, you guys are doing, you know, obviously once again the right thing, because now there's someone that's actually endorsing and pro Bitcoin, both for the president and the vice president post. So it makes sense to make that choice because it's just better for humanity. In terms of like the individuals, of course, I have an opinion, but I think to me, by far, the most important thing is that it's not about which, you know, politics today, it's a charade. It doesn't matter. What matters is we have a fake money that destroys everything. So they can fight and all that, and people think that by voting, they can help make the world a better place. You can't fix a world based on fake money, which it is when you have central banking and fiat currency, and there's no value behind it. It's just a debt certificate at the end of the day, $1 bill. So if we can get these guys, well, not we get them, but if these guys push through Bitcoin to success and we have hyper Bitcoinization and we can replace fake money, aka the dollar, etc., with real money like Bitcoin, then the world will be a better place faster, and politicians will matter even less, because what people don't like, Bitcoiners get it, but you know, the rest of the population don't get it, that if we fix the money, we fix the world. And by getting the entire world on a Bitcoin standard, so many of those problems we're seeing today, they're just going to disappear. So I'm happy that there's a chance to vote for someone that are pro Bitcoin, that we have someone pro Bitcoin potentially going into the White House, likely going into the White House. That's awesome. And also, I just want to say, Nico, I was laughing when you said early on in the show that you were getting old now, because you're like half my age, but nice one.
Man, I don't know. I love you, Anders. And you party harder than I do, so I don't know who's the old one. Anyways, I do want to give, before we move on to the next segment, I do want to give an incredibly special shout out to our sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about the Pleb Party in Nashville. Guys, you definitely don't want to miss this event. If you're going to the Bitcoin 2024 conference, which is going to be absolutely insane, the lineup is crazy. Russell Brand, Donald Trump, Micheal Saylor, of course. You definitely don't want to miss the party that you have to attend that week, Thursday, July 25th. It's going to be a 12-hour open bar, which means that the drinks and food are included in the ticket from noon to midnight in Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be hosted at an amazing venue, a rustic automobile factory from 1910 with brick walls and tons of proof of work atmosphere. The last Pleb Party in Miami sold out 8 days before. You will not be able to get tickets at the door. They're going to sell out very, very quickly. Over 1,000 Bitcoiners are expected to attend. Confirmed attendees include Larry Lepard, Preston Pish, the entire Simply Bitcoin crew, James Lavish, Robert Breedlove, Mark Moss, Pubby, Tatum Turnup, Adam O'Brien, and many, many more. Some special A-listers are going to be coming as well. We're going to be talking about that during the culture segment, so stay tuned. Guys, you definitely don't want to miss the Pleb Party in Nashville, Tennessee. Scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. Get your tickets quickly because the prices will go up and they will sell out. Anyways, guys, we'll see you in Nashville. All right, everybody, let's hit the news.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more.
All right, everybody, you can scan the QR code on your screen right now, and it will get you. You guys will go to the Passport by Foundation Devices, where you guys can get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. Remember, guys, not your keys, not your cheese. If you don't take self-custody, you're essentially cucked. It's don't do that. Don't put yourself in that situation. Own your keys. And by the way, if you use promo code Simply, you get $10 off. You get a discount to the Passport hardware wallet. So not your keys, not your cheese. Incredibly easy to use. I personally use it all the time.
Yeah, someone tell the VP nomination to get himself a passport.
Yeah, he needs a passport. He needs a passport. Anyways, okay, so let's check out this clip. Micheal Saylor, I mean, he's like playing like 40 chess, I would say. Bitcoin is the best performing asset. Here's Fox Business, and I believe his name is Charles Payne. He's been a huge fan of Bitcoin. He's had Natalie Burnell on the show many times. Let's check out what he has to say about Bitcoin.
Why do people love Bitcoin? Why do they love crypto? Well, I got to tell you something. 28% of young folks say they want it, and I'll tell you why. Going back to 2013, the number one performing asset, Bitcoin, 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 Bitcoin. How much? How about 315,000%? 315,000%. Why do people love Bitcoin? Why do they love?
I mean, the facts speak for themselves. Like it is what it is. Like you see it. You see Bitcoin's off years, that's down years right here. What's the meme? Like 3 green, 1 red. You kind of see it here. It's pretty funny. So we still got two more green, or I think we are we're 1 green and then next year green. Anyways, so Saylor basically, again, you have to understand, Saylor is promoting this with the hopes that other public companies are going to hop on the bandwagon, right? Because Saylor has positioned himself where he owns 1% of the supply of this entire thing. And any other public company like the basically the first one to the party wins, right? So the second one, maybe it's Dell Technologies. They're going to be able to build a nice stack, but the price is going to continue to increase as more of these companies buy Bitcoin, right? And I think that's the final game plan. Anyways, here is Micheal Saylor, and again, a little bit of a flex here, right? Which is to outperform NVIDIA, get on the Bitcoin standard, right? And that's so true. So NVIDIA has 10x'd since August 10th, 2020. MicroStrategy has 12x'd since August 10th, 2020. I mean, that says it all. You have Tesla, you have Google, you have Microsoft, you have Apple, you have Meta, you have Netflix, you have Amazon. And MicroStrategy, which is a software company, again, they don't make, and I'm not trying to shit on MicroStrategy or anything, but like NVIDIA is the best GPU manufacturer in the world. Like they make the latest and greatest chips for AI, right? And it's like they're making literal chips, right? Like if you have a gaming computer, like you either have an AMD or NVIDIA. Most likely you have NVIDIA, right? Those are those guys, right? MicroStrategy, it's like, they offer, corporate software solutions, right? Like in what world is a MicroStrategy outperforming NVIDIA? And this is where Micheal Saylor is making his point. To outperform NVIDIA, get on the Bitcoin standard. This is why Peter McCormack named his conference, the one that he does in Bedford, cheat code, because it is a cheat code. When you move on to a Bitcoin standard, when you adopt a Bitcoin standard, whether you're an individual, a nation state, whatever it is, an individual, a nation state, a public company, you have a competitive advantage to everybody else. And that's the point that Micheal Saylor is trying to make. And this is why he keeps posting stuff like this, right? The world has not awakened to this reality yet, but they're getting close. Remember what Larry Fink said yesterday. He went on CNBC on Legacy Financial Media, and he basically said, look, initially he was a skeptic. He called Bitcoin an index of money laundering. And then fast forward 5 years later, and after these crazy absolute gains, you have Larry Fink, basically saying, using all the Bitcoin talking points. Like, that's not a coincidence. So this is what Micheal Saylor is expecting. Micheal Saylor is hoping that a public company follows in its footsteps. It seems like it might be Dell. Is it Dell? Is it Michael Dell stacking Bitcoin for himself? Is it Dell Technologies, putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet? But I think it's a race. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out this cycle, which company is going to follow suit. And I'm telling you that once one of these tech companies, right, Tesla already owns Bitcoin, but once one of these tech companies, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Netflix, Amazon, once one of them announces that they have exposure to Bitcoin, holy cow, you're going to be so happy you bought Bitcoin below $100,000, because things are really, really going to move extremely quickly. And I think, look, the numbers are there, the data's there. I think it's just a matter of it's corporate culture. If you spend a lot of time in the fiat matrix and you're used to operating a certain way, Bitcoin is different. Bitcoin is radical in a way. The Overton, in terms of the Overton window, in terms of these companies and their traditional kind of financial officers, they see Bitcoin potentially as too volatile, too risky, right? But the numbers speak for themselves. Like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, it might be a bumpy ride, and the volatility might be pretty crazy, but it generally goes up and to the right, versus fiat, which goes down and to the right forever, and they could say, oh, it's only 2%, but yeah, 2% adds up over time, right? You lose purchasing power. And all these companies have hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars worth of cash or cash equivalents that they're just holding on to. That's like holding on to melting ice cubes. And another thing that I gotta say, and then before I pass it on to Anders, is remember, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. A lot of these companies, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. You might not like their cultures, right? Like with Google, with Netflix. Like, you might not like what's going on inside those companies. Like, you might see them as like, I don't like Google. Like, they censor. I don't like what what Meta was doing. Like, they were censoring certain political viewpoints. I don't like Netflix. Like, their content, like, it's trash, it's garbage. I think that's a symptom of broken money. I think that if you fix the money, you fix like a core issue. I think money plays a crucial role in the human experience. And if that element is corrupted, right, it's completely disconnected from reality. I think that there's consequences to that we fully don't understand. But if you look at throughout history, whether it was the founding of the United States or whether it was the Roman Empire, right, you look at examples of the ravages of inflation, of what it did to society. I mean, even George Washington has a quote on paper money, and he was not a fan of paper money, and he saw look, here's the quote: paper money has had the effect in your state that it will ever have, to ruin commerce, oppress the honest, and open the door to every species of fraud and injustice. So, like, what I'm trying to say is that, like, I think Bitcoin is going to fix not only, the monetary aspects, but also the cultural aspects of a lot of these companies. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. And I think a lot of people underestimate that. A lot of people don't fully appreciate it. We already have an example of a country that made Bitcoin legal tender. What happened, right? It's not a coincidence that it's not a coincidence that the country that made Bitcoin legal tender has the most popular president in the Americas. It's not a coincidence that the first country that made Bitcoin legal tender, has a society where the incentives are aligned, where people are actually happy with their government, right? I think whether it's on the corporate level or on the nation state level, you have multiple examples of misaligned incentives, and you have multiple examples of an entire system, a corporate system, a national system operating on a fundamentally spiritual and financially corrupt base layer. And that's what Bitcoin ultimately fixes. And I truly believe that if you fix that base layer, if you address the problem, there's a lot of good things, a lot of unintended consequences that come out of it that we can't foresee. But the reason I'm saying this is because I've seen what Bitcoin has done to my life. I've seen what Bitcoin has done to Opti's life. I've seen what Bitcoin has done to companies that have adopted it. I've seen what Bitcoin has done to nations that have adopted it. I've seen what Bitcoin has done to my family. I've seen what Bitcoin has done spiritually and financially to the people that have truly adopted a Bitcoin standard. It's changed them for the better. Now, imagine the entire world on that new operating system. It would fundamentally, radically change things for the better. And I think it'd make the world a much better place. So I think Saylor's doing his bit. He's evangelizing it. He's pushing it forward. And it just takes one of these companies to bite. And I think we're very, very close. Whether that's Dell, that'd be absolutely bonkers. But I think the rest of this year is going to be absolute fireworks. Starting off with the Bitcoin conference next week, and of course the Pleb party the day before the Bitcoin conference starts, man. So, anyways, I want to get your guys' thoughts. Anders, what's on your mind, bro?
Yeah, no, I think I obviously love the MicroStrategy play. And I think there's a nice hidden gem in the fact that they've been outperforming Bitcoin itself. And how is that possible? Well, MicroStrategy is using the legacy financial systems and its downsides to essentially do all these different movements moves that generates funds for him so he can buy more Bitcoin. So what has happened with MicroStrategy ever since August 2020, almost 4 years ago, pretty much every month he's buy few Satoshis, some Satoshis, he increases the amount of Bitcoin Satoshis that each stock represent. So he outperforms because each stock is worth more denominated in Bitcoin, it holds more Bitcoin on the balance sheet of the company. And that's why he outperforms Bitcoin. That's super exciting. And once we get some of these many companies that you're referring to, I mean, MicroStrategy is just a small company compared to these, right? Google, Amazon, Apple. The amount of money they have, it'll take us, it'll take us to a different kind of highs on that price chart.
100%, man. And I'm so happy that, and again, guys, do you want Google to front run you, man? Like that would be, do you want Meta? Do you want Zuck to front run you?
I mean, Zuck's goats are named Bitcoin, right? So I'm pretty sure he owns some.
No, he definitely owns some, but imagine being front run by Facebook. Like that'd be pretty lame. So anyways, Opti, what's your take on this? I mean, I also want to give a shout out to Saylor. Like he's putting on the pressure, bro. He's putting his giant metaphorical on the table and, he's basically flexing like, yo, like I got this figured out, bro, because I adopted a Bitcoin standard and you have not. And even though you make the best GPUs in the world, my stock is still outperforming yours, bitch. So of course he's saying that nicely and politically and like whatever, but he's saying that. Like, let's be real now. Opti, what's your take?
Well, first, I just want to dox Nico a little bit. That's Nico's favorite saying ever. He says it all the time. Anyways, I'm convinced, and I was actually talking to a couple of friends last night, some Bitcoin friends, and I'm absolutely convinced we are on the best timeline possible. Like Bitcoin is winning so hard. It's incredible. People are still ignoring it. And first and foremost, I absolutely love Charles Payne. He's the GOAT. Like, I love how he was like skeptical for a while, and now he's just blasting Bitcoin signal on Fox News or legacy media in general, and he's just like a full-blown Bitcoiner. It's been beautiful to watch him go from like a skeptic to now pumping Bitcoin as much as possible on the show. And he's literally saying what we've been saying for a long time. It's like, beat the drum and continue to get these messages across to people that Bitcoin is the #1 performing asset of the last decade. Like, it's the best thing to be holding. And like I started this, it's absolutely amazing to me that people still ignore it, that they think it's nothing, it's just fake internet money, internet nerd money or whatever. It's like, oh, I can't hold it. It's not real. And it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's the best performing asset period in the last decade. And yet you still ignore it. And, yesterday we played the Jim Cramer talking with Larry Fink. And, there was that little tidbit where, and this probably isn't a good sign for us Bitcoiners considering the inverse Cramer rule, but even he was on the show like, oh, Larry Fink embraces Bitcoin. Like, I guess I got to look into Bitcoin. So we're seeing this moment right now in history where it's not only becoming a political talking point. It is getting thrust into the mainstream and into the mainstream media, into the mainstream consciousness. And now everyone is going to have an opinion on Bitcoin, whether it's good or bad. And obviously this is good for Bitcoin. And then on the Micheal Saylor point, I'm still, and I might be the only one in the room here that says this or even believes this, but I'm still convinced that the AI pump is like, it's hype. It reminds me a lot of like shitcoin pump and dumps. And of course, NVIDIA makes chips for more than just AI, but I think that's why their stock is running so high. And it's absolutely incredible that MicroStrategy is even able to outperform that. And again, like, for all of us Bitcoiners that we constantly talk about Bitcoin as the best thing to hold to protect yourself, self-sovereign money, freedom money, and all that good stuff, we got to remember that most people that are on the fence still kind of think of Bitcoin as an investment. And having all these different talking points where it's like, well, if you just look at it as an investment, you're still missing the best horse in the race because you don't think it's real. And so just constantly getting these ideas and incepting Bitcoin into the minds of your friends and family in different ways, because not everyone's going to look at Bitcoin and get orange pilled in the same way that we are, showing them that Bitcoin is the best performing asset. It's literally the best thing to be holding right now, even in the face of the AI, pumps and the hype of AI right now. I think these are very important moments, and Bitcoin is clearly a cheat code. Like, shouts out to McCormick for naming his conference that, because it's very good branding. Like, it literally is the cheat code. Like, all you have to do, stack sats or save in Bitcoin, take it into custody and chill, and just continue to repeat this. Make sure you have cash flow coming in. Make sure you're living under your means. Make sure you're not selling your Bitcoin, and you're going to live a better life. And we're constantly seeing these messages on social media of millennials and Zoomers and even some Gen Xers out there just like going through the rat race and feeling the pain and wondering how to survive this moment in history where inflation is rampant. It's going out of control. Groceries are going crazy. Most of us young people probably will never own a house. And we're here every single day, like, just saving Bitcoin for the long term. And I'm telling you, you will be good. Yes, you may not be a Micheal Saylor or, Elon Musk or something, but you will have something to hold on to. And I think this is one of the most important messages that we can be doubling down on people. Be like, look, you need to own something. You need to save in something that cannot be debased. Obviously, it probably hits harder when you speak on like a 5th grade level. It's like, you need to save something that can't be destroyed. It's very simple. But doubling down on what Nico said about once these mega corporations start to embrace Bitcoin or put it on their balance sheet, I think it's going to be very crazy if like Apple ever allows Bitcoin to be used in payments over the Apple iPhone or even the MacBooks, because they're one of the biggest computers in the world. And that would literally open up Bitcoin to millions of people. And like, this is how we really win the Bitcoin race, is by having more people hold Bitcoin, more people use Bitcoin. And so, yes, of course, you love to see corporations add Bitcoin on their balance sheet, because it further proves our theories and our thesis about Bitcoin. And it obviously like makes us look right. But we really just want more people holding Bitcoin, more people saving Bitcoin. This is how we win. It's not just about big mega corporations and billionaires holding on to Bitcoin and never using it and putting it on their balance sheet as a reserve asset. It's having individuals use Bitcoin daily, saving Bitcoin daily or weekly or monthly or whatever their expenses are. And that's how we really blow up this Bitcoin adoption race happening. But again, like, I kind of doubt it will happen for a long time, considering that Apple is probably trying to like save their moat with the Apple Pay system, which is absolutely great. I love Apple Pay, but also like,
they need to like, they can do both. Like, they don't
No,
need
I know.
to
That's what I'm saying.
incorporate incorporate Bitcoin
but what
into
if
their
they
products.
if they did add Bitcoin on their payments platform, then that would open it up to millions.
Well,
and that's
it
how we
becomes
get
a
it into more
self-fulfilling
people.
prophecy, right? Because if they're holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, then they're incentivized to integrate Bitcoin into their products, right? Like, this is aligned incentives. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, once you see it, you're like, wow, everything's aligned. Anyways, shall we talk about the Pleb party? Shall we talk about the Pleb party? Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
I vote yes.
Yes.
Opti votes no, so Opti has been officially kicked off Simply Bitcoin. All right, everybody, let's get to the culture. Lots to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily Culture.
All right, everybody, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. Join the 11,178 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. Guys, Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. If you travel to a new city, if you're moving around, you don't know anyone around you, what you got to do is you download the Orange Pill app. Has a really clever geographical feature, and it will literally show you the Bitcoiners that are near you and allows you to connect with them. Bitcoiners are going to be some of the most powerful, influential people in the next 5 to 10 years because all the parasitic politicians are going to be asking the Bitcoiners for donations, and the Bitcoiners are going to give them donations. Therefore, the Bitcoiners are going to rule the world. The person that has Bitcoin rules the world. Anyways, so it's probably a good idea to build up, that Bitcoiner Rolodex of Bitcoiner friends. It's also one of the best ways to reach me directly via DM. So download the Orange Pill app, check the link, or check the QR code, or check the link in the video/podcast description. All right, I'm excited. Now we get to talk about the party. And of course, the party I'm talking about is the Pleb party in Nashville that's hosted by the best party thrower in the industry, our boy Anders, in the house today. Anders, I'm so excited about this, bro. The last one in Miami, I had a great time. It was just sick. The venue was awesome. It was just a great time. So you just saw everyone was there. Like like no one that went to the Bitcoin conference in Miami did not go to that party. Like it was the place to be. And I remember like like all these people were trying to get in through the door, and it was like, no, tickets are sold out. Sorry, you can't come in, right? So yeah, man, it was just such a great time, and I know you're just gonna level it up this time. So could you talk a little bit about this venue that you found? Right, the thing that I've been reading is a rustic automobile factory from 1910. What that could either sound like like a horror show, or that could sound like a really cool place to throw a party. So first of all, how did you find that venue?
Yeah, but before I answer you, Nikos, because you guys have some great sponsors, and I think when there's something good, I just want to also help you actually get that message across. I'm on Orange Pill app myself now, really enjoying it, so I recommend it. Matteo behind it is great, so a shout out there to one of your sponsors. And also he's got there's a section for the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, and there's another event there for my Pleb party. So Orange Pill app is great, and then also I just want to say that your audience here is on fire, because several tickets were sold now here just while we were talking about it during the show. And yeah, shout out to Simply Bitcoin and the lit audience. There's currently now, because of that, 8 tickets left at the current price. So that's super cool. Thank you for the help in promoting. How did I find it? So finding the right venue before a Pleb party is actually, it's a lot of fun, but it's also a bit of work. And what happened on this one, I went to Nashville at the end of February. I was looking for something that could be super cool. Kendall came with me and helped out, and she said we should go check out this spot called Marathon Music Works. And I'm like, I think it's a little far from the actual conference venue, Music City. However, it's only 8 minutes in an Uber. But being perfectionistic, I want everything to be as good as possible. But so we went there and checked it out. Absolutely loved the place. It's a literally like an old automobile factory, and I say automobile instead of cars because that's what they were called back then. So it's a really cool old factory building that's turned into a venue for concerts. We went to a concert there, Dropkick Murphy, super cool Irish band.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and in this place, there's 4 bars, not the one that we had in Miami. So it's leveled up, it's better capacity than last time. Won't have to turn, I hope not have to turn people away. But the tickets, of course, are more expensive in the last week. So you save money by buying now. It has several rooms, which makes it cool. There's many places you can go off and sit with your friends and talk and chat, and then there's a bar down at the end. Like there's 4 bars, but there's a really cool bar that looks like a normal bar. So just really cool, old like brick walls, lots of atmosphere. I'm renting some furniture, and yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward. Of course. I mean, yeah, I'm excited.
It's gonna be absolutely
Let's
awesome,
go.
man. I have a question for you. What what surprise guests could you name them? Are we gonna have some surprise appearances?
Wait. Can we, before you do the surprise guests, Anders, can you talk about the tweet you made about the rumors of the guests? Because that was hilarious.
It's so funny. Like people have been like jokingly, since Trump is coming to the conference and speaking, people on Twitter have been jokingly like, "Oh, is Trump coming to the Pleb party?" Obviously jokingly, right? But this morning I wake up, I'm on the email because there's still lots of work to do with the event, and I got an email from the event asking if Trump will be attending the Pleb party. I'm like, wait, what? Because so is Trump attending your Pleb party? Because then we got to talk like security. Like we gotta, yeah, the guy has just been shot. We would need to talk security, but I'm not sure he will be there. Like I haven't I haven't spoken to Trump or anyone else. But you know, it's our meme world. Everyone else live in it, and we can meme things into existence. So maybe Trump will show up. That would be a lot of fun for me to show my family in Denmark who believe mass media, and you know, that whole like that you know, and the character assassination that he's been a target of. So that they wouldn't get it, but I think it would be pretty awesome.
So I thought that's hilarious. Okay,
what you're trying
who's going to be there?
Yeah, what you're trying to say is Trump will be attending the Pleb party in Nashville. Breaking news, everybody. Anders just confirmed that the future Bitcoin president will be attending the Pleb party in Nashville, Tennessee. Breaking news on Simply Bitcoin. That's crazy.
You're right. I mean, I didn't want to get that specific, but Nico, you're absolutely right. And the reason is, of course, Orange coin is for Orange Man. Orange Man is for Orange coin.
Yeah.
And when I think back on the last Pleb party in Miami on that rooftop, how many billions of dollars, how many hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin were actually represented there, right? When you think about it, Saylor was there, right? So when you want to win an election, you need financial support, and you want to go hang out with the future 1%er. They're Bitcoin plebs, so yes, he's coming. I wasn't going to be that specific, but he's going to be there, and it's going to be a chance to donate a few sats to Orange Coin, Orange Man.
That's crazy. Okay, so just to confirm, breaking news, everybody. Micheal Saylor and Trump will be going to the Pleb party in Nashville. They will be holding hands coming into the venue. That is absolutely crazy. Wait, could you pull up that comment again?
No. We're just joking. We're just joking.
The chat is fun. That's that's so fun about YouTube is, you know, when there's fun people in the chat.
Also, shout out to Rumble too, because we get some chats in there as well. So you know, it's a combined effort. Shout out to the chat on Twitter as well. But yeah, the Simply live chat, man. You guys
is wild.
You guys are legends. You guys are the best in the industry, man.
And the Twitter. All right, Anders. So getting back on message. Who are the confirmed guests? Who is going to be there? Let's get some last minute FOMO for the audience because it is next week. You know, we're less than like 8 days away from it. So last minute FOMO, who will be there? And then we're gonna talk about some I don't know, I guess you would call it like the underground event going. Yeah. So let's start with who will be there confirmed and who might be there.
Right. So actually confirmed some of my favorite people like Larry Lepard, who's kind of was the reason that first Pleb party I did in LA really big, you know, I invested that kind of into it. So he's going to be there. Preston Pish is going to be there. I think everybody knows Preston Pish, great content creator. James Lavish, Natalie Brunel, Robert Breedlove, and you guys. And a bunch of other people, and I just don't remember all of them anymore by name, to be honest. But I had such a good time in Miami as I did in LA, and I tweeted about that earlier today as well. I'm just so excited because I know that so many of my friends are gonna be there, and hosting all of you guys, hanging out and having fun for me is gonna be just an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to that. So I
mean, Anders is the king of networking. So every time I go, it's just like all my friends that I hang out with on Twitter. You're just like, oh, dude, like hell yeah, this is an epic party. So I'm excited for this. Now it's gonna be even bigger than before. So no one's gonna be missed.
So I want to add to that actually. I go to quite a bit of length in kind of like where do I like promote the party, because I think it's so important, you know, that you have a crowd, you know, what type of crowd it is. So I'm not going anywhere else outside of what I believe is, you know, the people and the friends we have from Bitcoin Twitter, and that probably limits sales a bit and forego some revenue, but I think it's so important for what I'm doing for how much we can enjoy it, and also that my friends bother coming to the next one, that it is that it's us, that know each other, the Bitcoin maxis.
Dude.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Nico, I'm gonna hijack this. I'll let you finish. But Anders, I saw a very special post. I think it was this morning or yesterday, and there's an event within the event, and apparently there's going to be a sneaker off going on. What's the deal with this?
Well, it's just G Money has bought some.
Ooh, our boy, bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he bought some Pepe sneakers. They're pretty dope. Black and green, and there's like a little Pepe figure on it. And I myself bought some sneakers, so I just started. I retweeted his and put a picture of mine, and I've got them right here. I love Adidas. I love the what do you call this type of color? The pastel colors.
Salmon.
And then I'm trying to figure out which shirt to go with it, and I'm thinking this one color wise, does fit very well. And as you can see, the rabbit there on his message for the system, he's very smiley, but there's some message. We were talking about that Opti before we went live. There's a little message there for the system.
Oh man,
Dude,
yeah, that's a story for another day. I'll say it one day on the show. I've said it before, I think.
It's gonna be a great time. I'm beyond excited for the Pleb party and really looking forward to hanging out with a lot of you guys in the flesh. I can't emphasize this enough. The tickets will sell out. We'll not be able to get them at the door. We hired Yellow to be the doorman. Okay, you're not gonna be able to go through him. He'll malaka the fuck out of you. The tickets include food and drink. So it's gonna be a great time, and hope to see a lot of you guys.
Wait, last thing, Nico.
Thanks, Nico.
Anders, let's talk about the tickets real quick before we wrap up the show. I know there's only a few less at this price point, and then I'm guessing they're going up. So if you're in the chat and you're wondering or on the fence about it, this is the last moment. Take it away, Anders.
Yeah, sure. So right now, well, before when I checked, there was 8 tickets of $215. I don't know. It might be a little bit less now, but that was 8 tickets. And then every time a tranche of tickets sells out, it goes up to the next price level. So it's 12 hours of open bar, which means free bar. You already paid for it with your ticket. Obviously, this kind of ticket price includes as much alcohol as you can drink for 12 hours. And also food is included. So, your lunch and your dinner is taken care of, your pre-lunch drinks, your lunch drinks, your after lunch drinks, your pre-dinner, you get in the picture. And also it is re-entry. That's very important for me because I think people will want that. There's a lot of you that will need to take a break, which I understand. I understand. I really do. So you can leave after lunch if you need to go home and nap it out, and take a shower and come back with a fresh shirt. It's okay. I won't hold it against you.
Dude, I'm beyond excited. It's going to be a great time. This is the event to be at the day before the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth, Bitcoin 2024. It's going to be a great time. All-star, lineup that's going to be joining, surprise guest, possibly Donald Trump. It's going to be crazy. You guys definitely don't want to miss it. Scan the QR code, check the link in the video description, get your tickets now, and we'll see you guys in Nashville next week. All right, everybody, we're going to close out the show. I'm your host, Nico. This is my co-host, Optimus Fields, and our guest for today, Anders, the best party event organizer in the entire Bitcoin industry.
Wait. The best party thrower in the game.
Pew, 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 pew. All right, everybody. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, on a mission to enable independence.